Hi class, thank you for taking the time to view my presentation on writing definition arguments. Let's get right to it. The definition argument states that a contested case fits or does not fit into a certain category because it meets or does not meet certain criteria. So, as an example, one might argue that the Daytona 500 competition fits the definition of a sporting event because it involves athletes participating in a contest with a clear winner. The following template can be used to create a basic definition argument thesis statement. Anything you see in parentheses is what you fill in based on your topic. So you have a contested case, arguing it fits into a certain category because it fits certain criteria of 3 or more. Let's go over a few examples of topics that have these 3 components of a definition argument: the contested case, the category, and the criteria. For example, one might argue that NASCAR fits the category of a sport because it has athletic skill, clear winner, and requires coordination. Another example is one might argue the contested case graffiti fits into the category of vandalism because it damages property and is done without permission. Finally, one might also argue that the contested case of computer coding fits the definition of a foreign language because it has unique vocabulary, works the same area of the brain, and is used as a means of communication. To write a definition argument essay for English 106, the first step is to determine a topic. I've included a list on this slide as well in class that you can pick from. Notice how the list on the left are all topics relating to organ transplants, as that is the theme of the class. If you would rather not write about that, one of the alternative topics can be used. If you're not in my class, please ask your instructor permission before using an alternative topic. Notice how all of these examples ask a question about whether a contested case fits the criteria for a certain term. After picking your topic, the next step is to research the term that you will be defining. One of the topics I posted on the previous list asked whether graffiti meets the definition of art. So in that example, the term to research and define would be art. Find sources that will help you explain 3 standards criteria that must be met for any item to fall under the category of art. Explain and support those criteria in the first body paragraph of the essay. So, as an example, criteria that you might determine measure whether something is art could include: the work must involve creativity, the work must be done with intention, and the work must have aesthetic value. Now that you have a topic in place and have done research on the term you are defining, the next step is to do research on the contested case. In our example, we're using graffiti, so you will research sources that discuss the contested case. Look for evidence that the 3 criteria of intention, creativity, and aesthetic value are or are not present in literature about graffiti. So, for example, as you research, you might come across East Side Gallery in Berlin, which is one of the world's largest and most famous examples of graffiti. As you conduct research on it, you might look at the art and determine that the shapes and color definitely demonstrate creativity, meaning that criterion was met. The large number of graffiti works in one location under an official name also might point you to believe that the work demonstrates intention, the second criterion that determines whether something is art. Finally, there are more than 3 million visitors to East Side Gallery every year, showing it has aesthetic value to large audiences, as otherwise they would not be there to view it. Now that you have a topic in place and research on your criteria and contested case, it's time to write the paper. So in the example we've been using, art, you would approach it like this. You will use evidence gathered on the definition of art and the example to argue that the definition was or was not met. You will define the term with at least 3 criteria in at least one separate body paragraph. You will notice that is paragraph 2 on this outline. After you define the term, you will go through all of the criteria and argue that each one was or was not met by the contested case. After making your argument, include a rebuttal section explaining and overcoming opposing views. So, for example, if you argue that graffiti fits the definition of art, you would go over reasons why someone else might disagree with that and why their argument is weak or flawed. Now, with the essay written, the final steps are to save and submit the paper. Please make sure to look for the following items. Does the paper include citations and references that are in APA style? Is the essay 1,500 to 1,750 words? Were 5 outside sources incorporated into the paper? Is the work saved as a Microsoft Word document? And finally, was the paper submitted both to the Dropbox and attached in a reply in the peer review forum? Thank you for taking the time to view my presentation on definition arguments. I hope it makes the paper a little more manageable for you.